Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
I don't know whether it's just me, because I think I might have cranked that up. Was that louder this week?
It did sound a bit louder, yeah.
It did sound a bit louder this week. Oh yeah, I adjusted the desk. This one goes to 11.
Yeah, I love it.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam, and joining me to talk about Tottenham Hotspur 2 days later than planned, but actually on time, it's Matt.
Hey mate, how are you?
I'm alright, yeah. Oh yeah. Best laid plans of mice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said to everyone, we're going to do the show Tuesday. You were like, yeah, that's great. I was like, yeah, perfect. And then, yeah, that went out the window, like, horrifically. My gran used to have a sign in her house that says, how do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that has got to be the most apt thing ever. It's like, oh, well, I think I'm going to do this. Do you now?
Oh, it's like my job every day. I'll come in, I'll go in every day with all these things I want to do, and then within about half an hour, nothing like that's happening.
I bet a lot of people feel that way. It's like you go in, it's like, especially like, you know, you talk about that Monday feeling, like you go in on a Monday and it's like, oh, Monday. I sometimes attack it like, right, I've got a to-do list. I am going to kick this list ass. I'm going to start this week really well. Get to like lunchtime. That list is now quadrupled in size of stuff. And I've not been able to do any of it because people have rung me with stuff that I know, like left field, stuff I had no idea. Like, how is that a problem? Where has that come from? And I finished the Monday like, ugh, Mondays.
Oh, God. I do. Funny enough, my Monday, I came in at work with all these things planned, and I've got a few new starters where I work, and one of them, I mean, I don't really blame her because the training's been good, but there's been certain aspects that possibly have been missing. But she's been taking cash for the last 2 or 3 weeks and was unaware that it had to be logged. So I had a safe full of cash that I had no idea what was in there. So the first 2 hours was me, and then as is always the case, as I'm trying to deal with it, because I don't know if you've ever worked in financial service. I know you, but you know, like when you're actually in the thick of it, I know you. But you get with cash, you've got to be so careful. So I've got to make sure there's always 2 people in the room, and I'm getting people knocking on the door. I've been told my manager wants me, and I'm like, I'm trying to deal with this. There can only be 2 of us there has to be 2 of us in the room at one point. Please, just don't go away. Let me do this. And when I came in that this Monday, I was thinking, do you know, I'll get that done. Yeah. 2 hours later, whatever hair I've got left has fallen out. You know.
Oh mate, no. When you one of the things I used to do, my company used to run banking agencies. So basically, it was like the same as a bank branch, but think of it like a franchise. So people would walk in thinking it was a Santander, but actually it was us running it like a counter service. And so I did all the training. You know, you run the company. I've got a great belief that you learn it all. Because one, if someone's off sick and it's the fan, I can cover. But also, when people gripe at me, I can say, oh, well, I've done that myself.
Yeah,
so
yeah, of course.
It's always been my philosophy. If you run it, know how to do it. So I did the training with everybody. You know, like the undercover boss thing. I was there. It was like awesome. 30 to 40 people there on this course. None of them knew who I was. I was just awesome. The faceless person. Of course, a surname like Jones, mine, I can get away with it. So what's your name? Oh, Jones. Oh, like the managing director. Just like him.
Just like you, yeah. I'm
just like that
similar.
Guy, yeah. Yeah, but weird. Yeah, so funny. Yeah, another Jones, eh? It's like, oh, there's like another 20 of us here. What a shock. Yeah. and so I did the whole training thing. But yeah, the cash thing. Oh man, that was the stuff. They used to stress me out. Like, you'd be there and you'd be like, okay, at the end of the day, we've taken all this cash to people. Okay, you now have to have 2 people. But of course, when it's a bank as well, you used to have the security things were hilarious, right? Okay, you got 4 members of staff. 1 person has to stand by the door that's locked, keeping a lookout. You know, if you see anyone suspicious, you do like a warning. Then you get all the cash out of the safe. 2 people are counting it. 1 person stood there making sure the people counting it are really counting it. And like, I'd be like, I know I'm not stealing this. I know the staff here. But I am stressed. I am sweating. I look like I'm going to run with this money. I used to find that, incredibly stressful. The other thing as well, with part of it, of course, is counterfeit money, like the whole doing the checks on it and making sure everything is there. Like I've got $5,000 in cash here, but someone's collected about £100 worth of £20 notes that looked like they were printed on a Epson printer. Brilliant. Well done, everyone. Great day's work, that.
Only one side showing, the other side's blank.
Exactly, yeah. How did you accept this? Oh, he handed it to me with loads of other ones and I thought it looked okay. Yeah, great. Well done. Yeah, do you understand the words P45? Oh, but anyway, enough of that. We talked for 5 minutes of just me being silly. Welcome. This is about Tottenham, I promise. If you're brand new to the show, it isn't just me and Matt chatting. That's a different show, which we might do one day. If anyone's interested, just us talking about whatever's going on in the news. We'll call it, oh my God, not again.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Or we are fed up of living through once in a lifetime events.
Oh my God, it's relentless, isn't it? Honestly, it's relentless.
It's every time it's like, oh, this is once in a lifetime. I'm like, no, shut up.
Yeah.
No, I'm not hearing that again. I have been told this for the last 15 years.
Well, do you know what? I know this will bring it back to football, but well, kind of bring it back to football anyway. But I know I've said this before, but I am 100% convinced that in 2016, when they did that Hadron Collider experiment and it worked, we have been like the reality that we are living in, that everyone's experiencing where we are, is what was the one that got knocked off kilter. So so when basically two things happened, the Hadron Collider thing worked and it knocked us off kilter, which is what we're experiencing, and it didn't work, and everyone's living normally. That year, Leicester didn't win the Premier League. Chelsea won it. Chelsea didn't finish 12th. They won it, and Leicester finished 12th. Donald Trump didn't become president. Brexit
People
didn't
laughed
happen.
at the notion of that instead.
Yeah, all that stuff. David Bowie didn't die. Muhammad Ali didn't die. Do you know? We've basically living off kilter. Like we're the effect of the Hadron Collider thing
it's
working.
Ridiculous. So I think you're right. The scientists need a kicking. That's all I heard. That was all I heard in amongst that. Yeah, scientists deserve an absolute kicking. No, you're probably not wrong. There's a TV show on Netflix called The Good Place.
Okay.
Which is all about someone, they die, they go to heaven, and when you go to heaven, when you die, you go to either a good place or a bad place. And there's this woman who realises she's been an absolute shit her entire life, but ends up in the good place by some sort of admin error. But she's trying to keep a low profile so she can stay there. Right. Anyway, the series goes on. It's very funny. It's a comedy. It's a sitcom. I think you're right. I think we're in the bad place. That Hadron Collider got switched on and it went, okay, there's the good place, and this is where we're basically an experiment. Yeah, where we're going to throw everything at these people and just see how long until they absolutely snap.
Absolutely.
Because
there's no...
We've gone through COVID. Her Majesty's just died, and now we got Russia going, World War III, bring it, and the World War's going, really? I'm tired. I've got to pay more for gas now. You get?
They're in that other alternative reality. They're all paying about £50 a month for their gas, electricity. Yeah. Do you know, everything's fine. Politics is boring.
Politicians just argue over, taxation plans, and the NHS doesn't have waiting times, and again, and I know I'm completely off topic, and if people switch off, I apologise, but just listening today to the politician here saying, so what we're going to do to fix the NHS is we're going to set them targets. I'm like, that's amazing. Jesus. That's like setting a fat kid a target to beat Linford Christie in a 100-metre sprint. It ain't going to happen, but I can set him the bloody target. So what planet are you living on?
Yeah, completely.
Anyway, right. So Tottenham, me and you said, and we've said it, and I'm doing it this week. We would start with the fan comments because we too often get sidetracked, as proven by the start of this podcast. So we are going to open with thoughts and comments and questions from fellow Tottenham fans.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Now, one of my favourite things on social media is perusing Twitter and kind of laughing at Twitter on a regular basis. So before we dive into the comments and questions, I just want to say to you, this is something I saw on Twitter today, and I'd love to get your thought on this. Okay. So everyone, Tottenham fans, know that Eric Dyer has been recalled to the England squad. Now, we also know that in football sometimes you can get a really bizarre narrative Harry Winks only passes the ball backwards. That one is like, I watch the games. He seems to go in all directions to me, but never mind.
Yeah.
Bizarre narratives that get disproven, but people just won't hear it. So on Twitter today, there's a discussion about Eric Dyer being back in the England squad, how he's the most accomplished central defender in a back three for England. And this is a really good article about it. The first reply, which has had far more likes than I want to really comprehend. I don't think I've ever seen Eric Dyer pass to someone in his own team ever.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, isn't it?
So that is an interesting narrative that has come from someone, and a lot of people are like, the guy can't pass, he's a big lump, don't know what he's doing. So I thought about this, and I thought, that can't be right. Now, before I went off and did some research myself, I noticed there was a reply from a Tottenham fan who unfortunately, I've cut their name. I apologise. If this was you, by the way, on Twitter, message me, because you're my hero of the day. Who replied with, you do realise that in Premier League era history, Eric Dyer has passed the ball more than any other Tottenham player.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 16,657 completed passes. Eric Dyer is the number one passer of the ball in Tottenham Premier League history. Knocking Jan Vertonghen into second place with 15,484, and a bloke who now plays for Man United called Chrissy Eric something or another on 15,000, whatever. Don't want to talk about him. No. But yeah, Eric Dyer has literally completed more passes than any other Tottenham player in the Premier League history. But he never passes to a teammate, man.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
What's worse is that person probably seeing this fact like, yeah, well, I've not seen it. So, like, all right, mate, whatever. But I thought I'd open with that because it was funny. But yeah, the question for you then, Facebook or Instagram, where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's go Instagram, mate.
Okay, we start with the home of the lovely Laura, and the lovely Laura brings us a question from someone who has their own theme.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Johnny Stark Show. And here is his question.
I feel like it's a game show, isn't it? The Johnny Stark Show's got to be a game show. The Johnny Stark says, which as of yet unused or underused player do you hope to see more of following the international break? Good question, Mr. Stark. Matt?
Yeah, I'd like to see Bissouma get more minutes, because I know he didn't have a great game against West Ham, and he's sort of coming on as a sub towards the end of games, but purely because of how well he played for Brighton, over the last couple of seasons. So we know how good he is. And but when we signed him, we was all saying this is a steal. We're getting him for an absolute steal. And I know part of it was the fact that he was coming to the end of his contract, which is why we got him a lot cheaper. But we all know how good he is, and I know that I've read somewhere that he's sort of struggling to fit into Conte's tactical.
Conte. So I'm never sure about this in public, but I think he must have quite a good open relationship with the players. So when he does say this, it doesn't seem to impact them. Because I've seen Bissouma asked about it on international duty, and he was fine. Like, he was absolutely he's over the moon and agreed. But Conte basically said he's struggling with the tactical aspect of what Conte needs him to do. So it's like, physically everything he's there, but I'm asking him to do a role he's learning. And whilst he's learning, I don't want to throw him in the deep end of go swim. Oh no, he sank. But there is if you notice the change he made against Leicester by creating a 3-man midfield, which was basically allowing Bissouma to play his game, break play, bring the ball forward, allowing Højbjerg to do the same, allowing Bentancur to do the same. I think there's something there with a 3-man midfield for certain games.
Yeah. But
we shall see. Bissouma's a good shout. I think everyone knows I'm going to say Oliver Skipp because he's life. And he should play all times and be captain and hero. Other than that, I'm actually pretty good. I know there's certain players there that you could sort of argue, but I think Bissouma's the obvious one. I think that's definitely a good shout.
Do you know another good?
Because I love him.
Yeah, of course. Do you know another one as well? Who did an interview a couple of days ago is Matt Doherty, who
Yeah.
a bit like with Basuma, doesn't sound pissed off that he's not playing,
No.
and sort of bought into Conte's philosophy and kind of like
Yeah.
whatever it is he's
This is a
got going.
squad. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean I don't like Royale bashing, but at the same
No.
time, I just still think that the guy's improved a lot. But
Yeah,
his
yeah, he
his
has.
his crossing, his kind of his supply is not really, it's not up to the standard it needs to be.
I wonder, do you think that it's now highlighted even worse when you see the quality from Perisic?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
You're
like,
right. Perisic
wow.
is incredible.
His delivery of the ball, and you sort of go, oh, that's what it's supposed to be like.
Do you know when?
Interesting.
Yeah, you know when. I know we'll obviously talk about the game in detail, and I'm sure we'll get lots of questions.
Sure.
But the Dyer goal, when he took that corner, no word of a lie, right? As the ball was halfway between his foot and Dyer's head, I said to Seb, "What a corner!" Right, and then a second later, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah,
Straight away, like wow, this the guy's supply.
What a difference it
Yeah.
makes. Well, we've gone from basically never scoring from set pieces to now scoring the most headed goals or something. It's
That's
like,
insane.
It's mad.
Yeah.
It is insane. But yeah, I think we've answered that one quite well. Next one on Instagram is from someone called Blong7. BLONG7. So, Blong7. Is it possible that Conte is playing long-term mind games with other managers? For example, he made it seem like he would never change the 3-4-3 formation, and just when we finally start to accept that, he throws out a 3-5-2 in the second half against Leicester. Maybe he's doing the same thing with using his subs, showing other managers what he wants them to expect, like not making a sub until the 75th minute in most cases. Then he'll surprise us all and make 3 changes in the 60th in the future. Maybe.
It was really strange because what he did against Leicester, we was crying out for in the Champions League game, wasn't we? And a couple of other games.
He didn't do it.
No.
Yeah, interesting. I think there's several factors to this. One of the things is player fitness, player conditioning, and stuff like that. And Conte, like Pochettino before him, is very big on that. So he will have all the sports science data of everyone of like, okay, this person, I'm trying to build up their fitness so they're going to play so many minutes. This person, he's very into that and he wants the players to be coming in. Now, I had a conversation with Stefan, our super sub, the other day about this, where, a bit of a conspiracy theory. I have a theory with Conte,
I love a conspiracy
and I think it's around... I know, I think you'll like this one. This is a weird season where we have a World Cup. Now, the players he is choosing and picking at the moment are guys who are going to that World Cup. These are guys who are settled in their national teams. They are going. And it feels to me like he knows that when we get close to that World Cup, even the most professional player on the planet, like a Harry Kane, will be thinking, do I want to go for that 50-50? I go to a World Cup in a week.
Yeah.
Because it's natural, it's human. You can't help it. I am England captain. I am going to the World Cup where I feel, because Kane always feels, I can go and win that thing, or I can go. Do I want to go in for that 50? Do I want to do the 60-yard sprint back?
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking he's keeping that same squad, but he's keeping everyone together. It feels like he's got them all in. He's gone, right, we have got a unique plan for this season where initially you guys, you're going to run with it. You're going to try and get us that start. Then we're going to start to rotate. Because, of course, the World Cup is a massive, massive X factor. All of those guys could go, Sonny, Kane, and they could all get injured.
Yeah, of course.
Like, we could come back from that World Cup and we're missing, like, our main strike force, our main defender. We could be in bits. So you have no idea. So you kind of want to do a plan up to it, optimising the fitness of the players, optimising the ones that are going to be staying behind with you, because in your brain you're thinking when the World Cup ends, those are the ones that are going to need to do those initial weeks or initial week. Because if they're all injured, they're gone. But they're in the best case, they're going to come back fatigued.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Qatar in the winter is still nutty
Hot.
temperatures. It's like, you want to play football in what? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
The fact, the whole debate, they should never be having a World Cup there, but that whole debate is gone, it's done, it's happening. So I think in his mind, he has created, because he's one of those coaches, isn't he? He's one of those kind of detail-heavy, this season's going to be mental, so therefore I have got this plan for this season. And that's in my mind. That's what I think. That's my theory, anyway. I
mean, that's the thing, like, it's really easy, and I know, I guess Mourinho was the master of never knowing he thought everything he said had a meaning behind it. You almost had to read into everything. But I guess, why not? Why wouldn't Conte have that kind of mindset as well? It's almost like the top managers need to have that, don't they?
They do, and I think you got to look at the players that Man City signed as well. They signed Haaland, who I know I bang on about every week. He ain't going to the World Cup.
Yeah, no, of
Holland
course.
and Norway aren't there.
Yeah.
So when they're losing about 10, 11 of their players, but when they come back, they're going to have their talisman, and they're going to have the nucleus of a side still there that can grab games, win games, in the short term whilst everyone comes back and slots back in. It's going to be a weird season. It's literally going to feel like two separate seasons, in a season being split in half. Being up there, like, the goal from me right now, if I was planning this, would be in touching distance.
Yeah.
Like, Man City want to canter away from everyone, and at the moment they can't. Us, Arsenal, a couple of other teams, we're right there. We're like hanging on to them. That has to be the goal, to stay right in there, right in the mix, and then when everything comes back from the World Cup, no one knows what we're going to be. Man City could lose 5-6 players. Anyone could.
Yeah, of course.
And then, it's an absolute crapshoot. And like I said, even the best case scenario, your players come back knackered. Yeah. So, it's going to be weird and intriguing. And to me, that's how it feels. It feels like right, we're going to run this team right now, but everyone else, get ready, because you're about to come in. You are then going to have to take this ship. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? That's just a theory, anyway.
Yeah, no. I see where you're going.
We have one more from Instagram, and again, this man has his own theme, and to be honest, it's one of my favourites.
Now it's time for a comment from Island Brother.
Dancing in my seat. No one's worked out yet that's Red Wine by UB40, so I've not been sued. Right, okay. Island Brother says, "What's up, Spurs Nation? The sun is back out and it's glorious." He spelt sun, the S-O-N. I just have one question. Any chance Conte changes his formation to 3-5-2, which clearly suits our players? As Chelsea boss, after we put the kibosh on the record-winning run, he switched to a formation for the rest of the season and won the league. Any chance we see a repeat of all of that level of pragmatism? Be well, and come on, you Spurs. It's the big fan debate at the moment, isn't it? The formation. It is. It always seems to happen as well. Like Pochettino, there was always the debate. Now Conte is. It's kind of funny, really, because it's not like we're 10th and we're struggling to get wins. To me, I think me and you discussed it a little while ago. It feels like in the formation we got, you need to be clinical, and you need things to sort of go your way, and you need to have the players that are clicking. Like when Sonny clicks, he will score goals. If Sonny had been the way he was against Leicester, against Sporting, we'd have been 2-0 up in that game easily. But it wasn't. It's just one of those days. It didn't click on that day. I think having that separate formation with the three in midfield is good. I think there are certain games where we've looked like our midfield's being cut through far too easily. And I think if going away to Arsenal, going away to Man City, Liverpool, going away in the Champions League, starting with 3 in midfield wouldn't be a bad thing.
No,
in my opinion.
well, the Leicester game was a perfect example of it, wasn't it? Because the first half, Leicester were all over us. I mean, it was insane. Like I can remember with a couple of minutes to go. So please, ref, just please blow the whistle. They're going to destroy us,
Yeah.
And then you came out the second half. He stuck with the formation, and it kind of worked for a little while. But then you kind of see Leicester creeping back into it. And as soon as he made those subs and went to the sort of the three in the middle,
it was game over.
It completely changed the game, didn't it? Yeah.
It did. Yeah. And it's interesting because we always talk about these coaches like they're infallible. He, like all of us in life, is learning all the time. And he's learning about his players, about this squad all the time. So him making that change and seeing that impact won't be lost on him. He wouldn't have done that and gone, well, that worked well for 10 minutes, back to normal.
Yeah.
He'd have looked at it and go, that's good. I know I can do that now. I know this team can do that. So that is going to be there. It's like, okay, guys, we now have that string to our bow. Brilliant. Now we work on developing, getting better. And against the lesser team, you might see me start Kulusevski as a wing back because we're just going to go at them. From minute one. So it's interesting to see what he does now. So for example, our next game in the league, touchwood, is Arsenal away. We'll come on to that. But if I'd prefer us to go there and start with 3 in midfield. I'd like to see Basuma, Bentancur and Højbjerg, assuming they're all fit, or skip in for any of them if they're not, and go there and get parity early and see where that goes. Because Arsenal will try and swamp us.
Oh, completely.
Otherwise.
Yeah, and they probably will. If Leicester were doing it, a team bottom of the league, away at Arsenal, it's almost a given, isn't it? If they're not on form.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, okay, Island Brother, I hope we've answered that sufficiently for you, my friend. We are now heading over to Facebook, the good old people Book of Face, and we open with Ahmed Salah, who says, should Conte start playing Longley, not Lenglet as I called him, ahead of Ben Davies? For me, it's a yes.
Do you know what? When we went to the Leicester game, I think I told you we always with about the players will warm up, so we normally get into the stadium about 3/4 of an hour before the game starts.
Yeah.
So we wander right at the front. I've been in the South Stand. That's where the players warm up, and the first 11 will always warm up. If you imagine you're in the South Stand and you're looking at the pitch, the first 11 will always warm up to the left-hand side, right in front of the stand there. So we'll kind of make our way over there. And Sib's always trying to get their attention. They all go, Richarlison, Kane, Son, because they run forward and then they run back. Yeah. So like when they're running towards you, and he was doing it, and he was like, oh, I'm going to give up. And then he was like, I'm going to try one more time. And he went, Lenglet, like that, and he gave him a wave. And honestly, you should have seen his face. And I was like, I said, he's probably giving you a wave, mate, because you pronounced his name wrong. And he's like,
yeah. All right, we all see you, mate. Yeah. In that case, that's enough for me. Lenglet for captain and world leader because he made Seb happy. So that's it. Yeah, Davis is also injured, so it makes that really easy.
Do you know there was a boy? Funny enough, there was a boy at the last game I went to, and he was going Richarlison every time he said Richarlison, and then he didn't look at him. And when we sort of walked away, I looked at the boy and I was like, he's got a striking resemblance to Richarlison. I went, are you related? He went, yeah, I'm his cousin. I was like, oh, shut up, mate. But he did have that resemblance. So part of me thinking he might not have even been joking. But I think Richarlison would have probably waved back if it was his cousin.
Well, he also would probably shout his first name, wouldn't he?
Exactly.
Not his given football name. I like that. Yeah, Kane, do you know him? Yeah, he's me brother. All right, whatever, Charlie. Mr. Kane, sir. Yeah. Up next, we have Peter Robinson, who says, the so-called £150 million war chest that was allocated to buy new players. I can only assume that this isn't just based on the initial price of the purchase player, but also their wages, ? Are the clubs still paying part wages to the 4 senior players that went out on loan? This person's asking lots of questions.
I know, pretty detailed, yeah.
I'm going to do them in bits because otherwise I'm going to get confused. So The 150 million war chest is an interesting concept. There was 150 million injected by the owners of the club into the football inside. The press told everyone that was for transfers, not the club. The club said that has been put into the football inside. So the narrative was we are going to spend 150 million on new players. That was never the case. That was never the case because Tottenham, why would you advertise that for a start? You know, why would you go to everyone you're looking to buy a player from and go, hey, we're in the money? You don't. That's ridiculous. However, what it allowed us to do, which previously we've been unable to do, is we were able to do our business early. Because typically, we have got to sell to sign. But that money injected enabled us to buy the players we wanted, get them in for Antonio Conte's pre-season. The vast majority were there in plenty of time. A couple of smaller signings towards the end that weren't, but it enabled us to do that. And it also enabled us to strongly negotiate players on the way out. In an ideal world, we'd have sold the players we wanted out. But the thing is, you've got to remember, is Europe, outside of the Premier League, football's basically bankrupt. You know, you look around Spain, all these countries, yeah, there's transfers going on, but compared to what it was before, it's nothing like. And all of these deals are loans with agreements with, oh, we'll give you £10 now and £50 never. You know, it's,
yeah, sure.
There is a lot of really complicated transfers in Europe right now. You know, players buying themselves out of contracts to enable them to get the move, waiving transfer, you know, waiving percentages here, there, and everywhere. It's a strange, really difficult market, and because of that, we can literally sell to Premier League rivals, or we do loan deals and stuff. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I know for a fact if we were to loan Tanguy Ndombele to someone in the Premier League, the guy would look awesome for an entire season and be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah.
We didn't spend 150 million on new players, but it did enable us to do the business we needed to do. And that money's in there. That is a cash injection that's gone in. And as players do sell, that's in there now. It's there. So it is going to enable us to do business in January, and then next summer again. Hopefully, some of these players we'd have agreed fees and agreed to move them on.
Yeah.
And the next one was, are the clubs still paying part of the wages? Each one's different. I think Harry Winks, no. Reguilon, no. They're being covered in full. Lo Celso, I think we're covering 25% of his wages, and Ndombele, I think it's about 40% of his wages. So, yeah, it's mostly off the books, which isn't a bad thing. If they are, or even if not, then surely the wage budget must have massively increased due to more playing staff overall. Our wage structure at the club is pretty solid. You got to realise that with the new stadium, we are now an absolute financial powerhouse. It is insane. You just based on FFP rules, for example, our income now, our wage bill to that is, I think, one of the lowest in the Premier League, wow. Percentage-wise. So you can go up to, I think it's 60% of your income in wages, and that's allowed under FFP. I think we're at like 40 something. We used to be around 50, and that was considered, good management. That was good. So this is why Kane can earn best part of 300 grand a week, and we could offer him even more than that if we wanted.
Yeah.
We have got that within, like I said, the new stadium. Once COVID had gone, it's made us a financial powerhouse. It does do the job we wanted it to do. I hope all this makes sense. Yeah, I think so. Also, do you think the slow start to games this season has anything to do with Conte's so-called brutal pre-season? No doubt it would be worth it in the long run, but do you think the players are possibly tired? I'm not sure. Again, it's a weird season, so I'm not sure if they're kind of if there's not already an element of the players don't want to get injured. don't want to. I've got a World Cup coming up. I don't know, and maybe it takes Conte at halftime just shaking them awake, saying, "You ain't going to the frigging World Cup unless you pull your finger out," and all of them going, "Oh yeah,"
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't know. It's weird, and it is a bit odd. But it's not just us. I'm seeing it with a few clubs, a few players at different teams, that you have a kind of expectation of where they perform, and it's just not there at the moment. I mean, Liverpool, for example, are a shadow of themselves. Like, you see them click and you go, "Oh, there they are, they're back." Then the next game they're absolutely shocking again. So yeah, there's a bit of it. There's a bit of it out there.
I mean, we are third in the league because we're unbeaten. So, I mean, is it a poor start?
I think he meant poor start in games, like as in we start slow. I think was what he was saying.
Fair enough.
Tom Perk says, "Hi chaps. In your opinion, is Longley better than Davies? First touch, positionally, defensive, set pieces, aerially." Tom, we've just had this conversation, and because he waved at Seb, yes.
yeah, exactly.
He is God amongst men. He is the new pin-up. We love him.
We love him, yeah.
Matthew Fleming says, post-international break, do you think we'll start seeing Skip and Bazuma rotated in like our forwards? If so, what combination of midfield do you think will bring the best balance? We're going to be 2 games a week right up until the World Cup. I say 2 games a week is 3 really, but it just rolls. So I think we'll definitely see rotation. I think Skip is a very accomplished player at breaking play, simple pass. I think partnered with Basuma could work. Skip break the play. Basuma has the ability to do that, plus bring the ball forward a lot more confidently. I really like Bentancur. I think he does a phenomenal job in the team, and you really notice when he's not there. It's like you don't really see the work he does, and then he's not there, and it's like, oh wow, our midfield seems non-existent. Højbjerg, I think Højbjerg is a better player when he is able to take the shackles off and bring the ball forward. You only got to see his assist for Son's hat-trick goal, where he basically burst past, it's like the 90th or whatever minute it was, and he's played every minute of every game, and he literally sprints past with the ball a midfielder. He just bursts past him. And it's kind of like, well, you got that in your locker, mate. Why aren't you doing that more often?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about balance-wise?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're still relatively early in the season, so it's hard to kind of, at the moment it's more or less 1 game a week. I know obviously we had the champion, but luckily the Man City game was called off. But if it wasn't for that, it would start to feel like we're really in the season. But until then, it was kind of 1 a week. And once we get into the real meat of the season, I know it's been interrupted randomly by World Cup, but as long as we're successful in all these competitions, then there's going to be a lot of games. So it's difficult to kind of, I think, because the conversation me and you had last week, and I was saying about how Conte doesn't like to change his first 11. At the end of last season, or when he came in, those last sort of dozen odd games or more, like I said, you could predict every lineup. But then the last game against Leicester, I messaged you, didn't I? I said, "Well, I didn't see this coming." Right, so he's obviously good. He's going to start change, whether it is form or injuries and that. But he's got these players now, so I think we're going to see a lot of mixing up of players and a lot of players in and players out. I mean, like the one. With the Leicester game, obviously Son was one that most of us were probably calling for, and as it turned out, it worked out really well. But then you look at Romero on the bench, and Romero, I don't know if he was injured because he did come on the second half. Yeah. But was that just a kind of I'll rest you for this game and I'll put Sanchez on for half? I wonder whether he's now going to start utilising the extra plays he's got, and we'll see a lot of mixing of the players and a kind of,
I think you're right. I think we will see more like 30 minutes for this player. I mean, he can make 5 subs, and he's not really been utilising that.
Yeah, maybe it's just maybe it's just a thing of for the managers. I know they had a season of it under COVID, and I don't know if it was the same in Italy because he was at Inter, wasn't he, at the time? But maybe it's a case of managers just trying to get their head around it themselves, and working with this fact that you can have 5 subs now. I wanted to say before we move on, I wanted to say, and I remember, and it's funny, this moment, it's just from you triggered my memory of it when you was talking about Højbjerg making darting runs forward.
Yeah.
Do you remember that moment with Romero when he somehow was going to just tap in? It was harder to miss than it was to score, and we were saying in the stands that he looked over, saw that the linesman had put his flag up, and just tapped it to the ball boy just to get the game moving again. Yeah. Like that's clearly what he was doing.
I think that's very kind.
The miss was insane.
I said he is such an incredible defender. His instincts kicked in and he put it behind.
Yeah.
No, clear the ball. Oh crap!
But just what was he doing there? Like a centre back, like up there for tapping.
He loves it. He loves that. He loves that role. But yeah, that was a funny moment. Yeah. Next question is from Stefan himself, who says, "What do you think our actual strongest 11 is? Not necessarily our best players, but the 11 that work best as a team." I honestly don't know. It's such a difficult question now. Like, Conte, like you said, he didn't really change it a lot. So you'd look at that and go, well, that's who Conte thinks is clearly our best 11. But I'm really not sure, because whenever he talks squad. And he always says, and it is a perception thing, he's like, if you want to be a big club, don't think of it as a best 11. Think of it as an 11 that goes out, and then you're going to swap things, you're going to change things from game to game or even in-game. And I think a lot of that is obviously to keep the squad togetherness. You need to say that because otherwise people are going to start becoming disillusioned, start looking for a move because they've not played a few games and stuff. But for me, I find it difficult. I mean, I think you can easily say Lloris is the best keeper. I think Lloris starts, so he's the club captain as well. But then when it comes to wing-backs, I honestly don't know. Perisic, I think, starts above Sessegnon, but Doherty or Royale, I wouldn't mind which. I think Eric Dyer and Romero start, but then Ben Davis or Longley or Tanganga or Sanchez, I'm not worried,
Yeah.
In the midfield, I think Bentancur for me, but then I'm happy with Skip, Basuma, like any of those options. I'm okay. I'm not worried. We used to have a situation where we'd see a team sheet and you'd see a massive drop, like Moussa Dembele. In that Pochettino team, if Dembele wasn't in the 11, it was a drop.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who it was, but we as fans were like, oh no. The best will in the world. It is a drop in quality there. I think, similar to like not having Kane in the starting 11, because Kane is a level above. But then, if Kane needs resting, I'm not going to feel bad about Richarlison, Kulusevski and Son. I'm not going to be worried. I think Richarlison's work rate, his ability in the air is phenomenal. Yeah, I don't really have. For me, I don't really have a best 11. I couldn't pick one. There's so many options there and combinations that I'm happy with.
Yeah, like when before the game kicked off against Leicester, they put the team up on the big screen, and because of the everything around sort of the 2-minute silence thing for the late Queen, they normally announce it pre-game, but they put it up about 10-15 minutes before, so they didn't have to announce it before the game, and you look up at the screen and the subs bench, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to claim that it's like a Man City subs bench, but it's very strong, and out of the,
it is.
I mean, what is it? Is it 10 subs you're allowed to have? 9 or 10, I can't remember who it was, but the guy next to me said that subs bench could make a first 11 and be very comfortable in the Premier League with that, and that's our subs bench, So you're right, we've got strength everywhere now, which is exactly what Conte wanted.
It is, and it is a big change. The window wasn't like 5 world-class players coming in and everyone's celebrating these massive signings, but it did do what windows are supposed to do and make you stronger than before the window started.
Yeah, of course.
And we are definitely that.
Yeah.
Okay, the final question then, and this man is his own theme as well, so we'll finish with this.
Here is a question from Ryan Miller. You all know what time it is.
It's Miller time.
It is Ryan Miller, and he says, what's your thoughts on Basuma and Spence not getting much game time? We've covered Basuma.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Jed Spence?
I mean, Conte didn't kind of hide the fact that it wasn't a signing that he made and he asked for.
True.
It felt like a kind of a Levy one for the future signing. See if we can make a lot of money on him when he's very, very good.
Yeah.
But look, he had a great season last season for Forest, but it wasn't the Championship. So, make of that, I guess, what you will.
Yeah.
I feel like I know that I don't think me and you have been guilty of it, but I think as fans, as a fan base, we're guilty of seeing someone doing well. For example, Scarlett at Portsmouth, Troy Parrott's doing well at Preston, although I mean they saw 3 goals in their first 10 games. So
the team's struggling.
Yeah, but the team's struggling,
well.
but he's playing well. Yeah, so people like fans would be like, right, why aren't they in the first 11? Why aren't they in the first 11? And it's sometimes you've got to kind of step back and say, look, these players, they've got a lot of potential here. But then when you look at someone like Perisic, for example, I know Perisic is a player that's been there, done it, and he's coming to the autumn, almost winter of his career. But these players need to develop, they need to develop and give them time. I'm sure he'll get his chance, but he's not playing in the Championship for Forest. He's playing in the Premier League for a team that are in the top 4 that are fighting to win things. So I don't.
I think you only got to look at Basuma. Basuma in the Premier League is experienced and was rated as one of the best midfielders in the league last year. Is not starting games because Conte wants him to work on things. Spence is going to be no different to that. Conte will have seen him in training and will be working with him to develop him because he's there, he's young. My thoughts on it are, this kid has got a lot of talent and ability, but he needs to play. So if Conte gets to January and he's like, he ain't going to be starting for me this season. He needs to develop this, and this. If the kid's got the right attitude, he'll say, okay, I'll work on that. Let me go on loan for the second part of the season.
Yeah, sure.
And then he'll come back. So I'll have to wait and see. Because the thing is, as well, is, in squad games in football, you're only ever an injury away from someone having an opportunity.
Of course.
Emerson Royale gets injured, Doherty gets injured, all of a sudden Jed's there. And if he takes that opportunity with both hands, you never look back. So, I remember Gareth Bale nearly leaving us to go on loan, and then an injury to Asoakoto meant he had to come in at left back.
Yep.
And then he was undroppable.
Yep.
When Akoto came back, he then moved to left wing. So, so it's all about, something happening and an opportunity and taking that opportunity. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But we did it. We answered all the questions first, and that's nearly filled the entire show.
We haven't talked much about the game, have we?
No, I mean, Tottenham 6, Leicester 2 makes it sound like we absolutely smacked the crap out of them and conceded a couple of goals. In reality, at half-time, I thought there was only one winner, and it wasn't us.
Oh, God, yeah. It wasn't great at half-time, was it?
But focusing on the second half, that goal from Bentancur, robbing the ball and finishing, was everything Conte must be trying to drill into the team about pressing and winning the ball back high.
He just did not see it coming, the defender, did he?
No.
Really didn't see it coming at all.
It's one of those things, indeedy, yes, indeedy. I kind of felt for him because I think that is where you want the ground to swallow you and never return. But I think he managed to get himself back in the game after that. But is there any recovering from that? That's just, it's just a moment, and it's just a moment of, because they showed a replay of him looking across, seeing where the nearest Tottenham player was, and thinking, I got time.
Yeah.
So he gets the ball and he just goes to turn, and boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
But Bentancur, brilliant. I mean, he spotted that. He saw him look, and then just sprinted the minute he went back to the ball, and Yeah, I mean, he's to take it off him and then finish the way he did, I think shows his quality as well.
Did you see on the replay of it? I don't know if you saw the replay, but he gets the ball and he's obviously running and he gives a puff of his cheeks. He's like,
Yeah,
right, okay,
yeah.
let's just put this in the back of the net.
Yeah. Well, the funniest thing, of course, is Kane was to his left.
Right.
You just know if he didn't score that, Kane's got him by the throat. You give it to me. But yeah, he did score it, and it was a good goal. It's his first Tottenham goal, I believe. First Premier League goal, anyway.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have a substitution. Sonny, who had been left out of the first 11 for the first time this season, comes on. He's not scored at all. He's looked out of form. We talked about it's like, sometimes you got to play yourself into form, and sometimes maybe you need to be sat on the bench for a bit. Well, he needed to be sat on the bench for about an hour, it would seem.
Yeah.
Because he then scored a hat-trick in just under 14 minutes, I believe someone said.
Yeah.
That was Sonny we know and love. Now, you're in that stand. When he's running at two defenders, and it's just him there, and then he hits that shot, which goes in the top corner, where was your emotion, mate? Because, I'm watching, I nearly had tears in my eyes. I was so happy for him. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, obviously we all launched as you do. It goes full limbs, doesn't it? When something like that happens.
Yeah.
But the biggest noise that from that was when the goal was scored, and I don't know if this was picked up on television. The goal was scored, and then they announce, like the announcer always says, goal scored by, and as soon as he said Son, honestly, the eruption to the point where I kind of had a little bit of ringing in my ears. And that just showed you how much everyone was just so happy that it was him, because he said it afterwards, didn't he? That he felt like he was letting the fans down, he's letting his team down. And we've got such an affection for him. He's got such an affection for us.
Wonderful guy.
Yeah. What did you make of him not raising a smile for any of the 3 goals?
I think what you're seeing there is relief.
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing there is a guy who, that first goal, and he just stood there, was like, that felt like, oh, finally. And you almost like the weight went off his shoulders. And you could see him just like, oh, wow. And everyone's like going mad at him. And then he went back and he thanked the fans and went back. And he scored the second goal, which was another worldie. That one, I think there was a little bit of anger. A little bit, he was shushing, doing that to his lips. And I think there's a few people need to shut up now. A few people have been having a go at me. You can leave me alone now. And in the hat-trick, of course, kind of got ruined by the flag going up. I think he'd have been in the stands if that flag hadn't gone up. Yeah. But it all got subdued because of it. But the best thing was, apparently the referee stood right next to him. The referee said, "I'm just waiting." He said, "It's fine, I know I'm onside." Yeah. And the referee went, "All right." And then the referee, rather than saying to him, "Yeah, you're right," he did the full signal in front of him.
Yeah,
so he had to wait for him to do it. Yeah. And then obviously he celebrated. But I think if that flag hadn't have gone up, you'd have seen him proper lose it on the third. But unfortunately, he's just turned to celebrate and saw the flag.
Yeah, and do you know what? Look, I know me and you have had tons of conversations about VAR, but honestly, like being in the stadium, mate, it just
it does have a killer.
And it's one of those things where it's almost like some VAR decisions aren't, you don't agree with them, and it's like it swings and roundabouts, and they even themselves up. These decisions even themselves out before VAR.
No.
So just get rid of it. Let's just go back to what it was. It's taking all the. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. When something's organic and it's taking it away so much.
Because you kind of. Someone said to me the other day, "Oh no, because you celebrate twice." I said, "No." I said, because when you used to see the ball at the back of the net, you'd lose it with not one part of you, because the flag's down. There's not one part.
It's 100%.
You know it's a goal. Now, when I celebrate, and my daughter attests to this, the amount of time she jumps, I was like, yeah, and I'm going, oh no, I think it might have been off.
No.
Because my brain automatically goes, something's going to ruin this.
Yeah.
Something's, perhaps it hit a hand 10 passes ago. Perhaps someone got pushed and no one could see it in the melee.
Yeah.
And so it has definitely taken that away. And it is sad. I mean, in the stands, you kind of lose it anyway. But the fact of the matter is, like, when all you guys lost it for the hat-trick and then saw the flag up, when the goal was finally given, it got hooray!
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Nothing.
And it's the same when
Nothing compared.
No, it's the same when Lloris saved the penalty. Like we was all like, "Oh my god, we're just giving away a penalty in the first few minutes." It's saved it. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's going to be retaken.
See, now just on that, and obviously it's happened to us, so I've seen it. How unfair is things on goalkeepers, by the way?
No, it's just
like. I know the game's about goals, and I know you want to create a product which is exciting, etc. But can we give the goalkeepers a chance, please?
Yeah.
You are not allowed to step off your line. All right, now I get that. He's not allowed to go running at him. You are not allowed to scream and run at him like a lunatic as he's running up. But he literally, it's like half a foot.
Yeah,
he's come off his line,
ridiculous.
and it is basically he's enabled him to get that jump to make the save. Can we someone somewhere get a goalkeeper in a position of authority, get Schmeichel elected to FIFA or something, so we can give goalkeepers a chance? Because even if that had happened again, if that had happened for us, so me and you would both we got the goal, ha. But at the same time, I'd still look at that and go, that is so unfair. Lloris is so unfair.
Yeah.
Come on, give keepers a chance. So I would not object to that rule changing at all. It just doesn't feel fair.
No.
Now, the last thing I want to talk about very, very briefly, and it kind of brings your career in here, my friend. My understanding is the North London derby is a possible doubt.
What?
And the reason why it's a possible doubt is because of rail strikes.
Yeah, what is the date of it? Is it the first?
The first.
Yeah, do you know what? Funny enough, my network is striking. I'm not, because I'm in a different union to the unions that are striking. But do you know what? The trains still run. Because I remember I didn't go to the Wolves game because I was working, and that was a strike as well. Yeah. And the fans, the network come on, the trains run. They run at a reduced service, so the trains do run. Yeah. And the underground, I don't know if the underground is striking. That's going to be
that's
tricky.
The other thing. Apparently, they are part of it. I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation to know if it's a real risk. I've read 3 or 4 articles saying if confirmed on the first, which it appears to be now, then they will look at it. Because, of course, as someone said to me the other day, and it's a massive point, and it was all around the Queen's funeral, etc., with games being called off, it's not just fans being able to get to and access. A lot of it's down to the policing.
Yeah.
So if you've got strikes and stuff like that, then policing resources could be here, could be there. They could be scattered and not have the ability to move where we want them to. The roads will be busier, which again creates more of a problem and a headache. So a lot of it, there's a lot more to it. It's basically the point of not just so people will be late, tough shit.
Yeah,
of
course. Yeah, no, of course.
There's more to it. So everyone keep an eye on that. If they are going to postpone it, do it. Let us know now.
Yeah.
Make the announcement now. Let everybody know plenty of time. What I hate is when it's the day before.
Yeah.
And they'll argue, we tried to the last minute to find. Nah, give fans a chance, because people, have got to book time, they got to do stuff, and so it irks me a bit. Now, being Arsenal, of course, it's not like fans are booking hotels and travelling.
Sure,
it's over there.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
But at the same time, still give people a bit of notice. But anyway, that is it. That is our show. We've discussed everything. We answered all the questions thoroughly this week. In great detail. We will be back next week to talk about all things wonderful in the world of Tottenham Hotspur, and maybe there'll be a North London derby.
We'll see.
Who knows? We'll find out. Until then, my friend, you take care.
Take care, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.